Hi, it's Lindley Oz, and this is a video that you do not want to miss. I have a clip of a Russian citizen who used to work for NATO discussing the real threat of war with Russia and Russian-NATO tensions. He also has a survival channel, and that's how I found out about him because I watch his channel and he does a great job. So I included that clip, and you don't want to miss what he has to say. I also have a clip with a gentleman who owns a business dealing with precious metals, and he knows a lot about the economy and what's going on. He is proficient in the Bible, and he's a Christian in Bible prophecy, and his insight is something that you need to hear, and he shares that with us, and so you don't want to miss that. What he has to say is very, very important. The problem is a lot of us are not prepared at all for what is coming, and what are we going to do when we can't access our money? That is a real problem. The experts have been warning us for some time that this is going to happen. In fact, an economic crisis is supposed to take place this year based on history. I do begin this video sharing some recent news clips about the real threat of an economic crisis. So don't miss anything in this video. Be sure and share it with your friends, your family, on social media, because like I've said several times now, this is very, very important. I can't stress that enough. It's time to repent. It's time to get right with the Lord. It's time to get prepared because things are happening. Prophecy is happening. This is very real, and I don't think many of us are ready. Hi, it's Lindley Oz, and most of you have probably heard one of my recent videos about the global elitists running for their lives. They're stocking up, they're getting prepared for something. They aren't telling us what. I feel this is pretty important. I saw some posts on the Economic Collapse blog I want to bring to your attention. Number one, virtually everyone agrees that current stock market valuations are not sustainable and that a great crash is coming. This was posted on February the 21st of this year. It says current stock market valuations are not sustainable. If there is one thing I want you to remember from this article, it is that cold hard fact. In 1929, 2000, and 2008, stock prices soared to absolutely absurd levels just before horrible stock market crashes. What goes up must eventually come down, and the stock market bubble of today will be no exception. In fact, virtually everyone in the financial community acknowledges that stock prices are irrationally high right now. Some are suggesting that there is still time to jump in and make money before the crash comes, while others are recommending a much more cautious approach. But what almost everyone agrees on is the fact that stocks cannot go up like this forever. On Tuesday, the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all set brand new record highs once again. Overall, U.S. stocks are now up more than 10% since the election. And this is probably the greatest post-election stock market rally in our entire history. Interesting note there. But stocks were already tremendously overvalued before the election, and at this point, stock prices have reached a level of ridiculousness only matched a couple of times before the past 10 years. Only the most extreme optimist will try to tell you that stock prices can stay this disconnected from economic reality indefinitely. We are in the midst of one of the most outrageous stock market bubbles of all time, and as Market Watch has noted, all stock market bubbles eventually burst. And here is an excerpt. The U.S. stock market at this level reflects a combination of great demand, great complacency, and great greed. Stocks are clearly in a bubble, and like all bubbles, this one is about to burst. Now, I won't read the entire article. It's rather lengthy, and you can go check it out yourself. I'll provide the link below the video. I want to share a few more news pieces with you about the economy that are very relevant. The Russian love affair with Donald Trump sours as the U.S. and Russia move toward war. In recent months, Donald Trump has been severely criticized by both Democrats and Republicans for not being sufficiently anti-Russia. But the truth is that the Trump administration has not been working hard enough to repair a relationship that is now souring very rapidly. When Donald Trump won the election in November, the Russians celebrated tremendously because they greatly preferred Trump over Hillary Clinton. But just because Trump was victorious does not mean that our relationship with Russia will automatically improve. Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin both have huge egos, and it is quite easy to imagine a scenario in which things between them go very, very badly. In fact, we may already be starting to see such a scenario play out. As you will see below, under President Trump, U.S. troops are being deployed to a very sensitive area of Poland, and they are also being sent to key areas of Bulgaria and Romania. That is not sitting well with the Russian government. But they were much more upset when Trump insisted that Russia must give the Crimea back to Ukraine. This is something that the Russians would never do, and they were quite stunned that Trump would even suggest such a thing. So you can read the rest of that article as well. I'll provide the link. I have one more I want to share with you real quick. The globalists strike back with a major push toward a cashless society. Their agenda may be on the rocks in the United States at the moment, but that doesn't mean that the globalists are giving up. In fact, a major push toward a cashless society is being made in the European Union right now. Last May, we learned that the 500 euro note is being completely eliminated, and just a few weeks ago, the European Commission released a new action plan which instructs member states to explore potential upper limits to cash payments. In the name of fighting terrorism, this action plan discusses the benefits of prohibitions for cash payments above a specific threshold, and it says that those prohibitions should include virtual currencies such as Bitcoin and prepaid instruments such as a prepaid credit card, or he writes prepaid credit cards, when they are used anonymously. So people, this isn't looking good. Okay, people have been saying something's going to happen for some time, and I've even showed you in other videos that the top experts, even liberals, are saying that something is going to happen to the economy, and going by history, we're expected to have a major crash this year. Now, I'm going to show you a clip by a gentleman who is a legal citizen of Russia. He's lived there for, I don't remember, I think 6 or 7 years, he said. And before that, he is originally Danish, but he also worked for NATO. And I thought, what a better way than to hear it from a Russian citizen themselves, and the fact he used to work for NATO, as to whether or not the probability of something to happen with Russia is a reality or not. And this is what he had to say. I'm also going to put the link on the screen. You can click on it and a new window will open. You can go check it out. And please check out his channel and subscribe and like his videos. I watch his stuff regularly. His videos are very interesting and entertaining. So let me go ahead and play this clip for you from his channel.
I don't really do politics on my Survival Russia channel, right? However, I had a lot of questions from people in the comment section and on personal messages here and there about the growing tensions between NATO and Russia. There are mainly two questions. The first question is about the exercise that took place in Russia between the 4th and the 7th of October. Evacuation of 40 million people exercise, kind of a thing. Second question is Russia preparing for war or confrontation with NATO? And I will of course try and answer these questions to you guys, and I'm a little bit honored that you guys are actually asking me for information on this matter, and I will do what I can to provide that information. As a Dane from a NATO country, I can of course follow the Western media, and in my opinion there are a lot of misinformation going on. Okay, first question. Yes, between the 4th and the 7th of October 2016, a large-scale exercise took place in Russia with the aim of evacuating 40 million people. 200,000 specialists, 50,000 vehicles was involved in this exercise. Also the emergency management agencies took part, of course, as well as the civil defense took part in this exercise. But it's not really something out of the ordinary. It's an annual or yearly occurrence or exercise that the that have taken place here in 2016. And compared to 2013, the goal of evacuation there was about 60 million. So what the emergency management agencies and civil defense and so on do is during this exercise, or is one of the things are that they check up on bomb shelters, they check up on food storage, they analyze the logistical problems, if any, on relocating such a large amount of people and so on and so forth. That was the 40 million people exercise thing or question. Next question is Russia preparing for war or conflict with the West or with NATO? Now that I'm not a spokesperson for the Russian Ministry of Defense, I can just say that what military officials say in the news and so on is that Russia is preparing to give an adequate answer if attacked by NATO. Also, I can say that if I was Minister of Defense, if I was Vladimir Putin, for example, I would consider myself pretty irresponsible if I would just sit on my hands and do nothing. In my opinion, it's a very, very likely that it could happen. Why do I think so? In the description box I will link to a description of the many NATO bases, principally or basically surrounding Russia from the far northwest to the far southeast. You can also say that Russia have been very, very rude and put the whole country so close to all these NATO bases. It's really rude of Russia, I can see that. So why do I think it's fair of Russia to be a little bit paranoid about NATO presence? We can just look at the most recent years, what happened in Ukraine, what happens in Syria at the moment, what happened in Georgia, or Georgia as it's called, not the state of Georgia in the United States, but small country south of Russia's border. Also we can look at the general NATO expansion around Russia. I mean, in 1990, actually February 9th, 1990, the former Secretary of State James Baker gave an ironclad guarantee that NATO would not expand 1 inch if Russia would be cooperative on the German issue, meaning the reunification of East and West Germany. Russia complied, NATO kept expanding. This is not so awesome. Of course you get a little bit paranoid, especially the United States, not the American people. There are lots of good American guys out there, I know that, and I try to tell that to people as well. But the US administration took a large part in the chaos in Ukraine. And that is of course right at Russia's border. The whole revolution and liberation, or what you can call it, of Ukraine is nothing but a strike on Russia and paving the way to build a military base or NATO base or entry point into Russia. Russia cannot accept that. Russia of course knows that. So I can say that from my understanding, what I can pick up from news feeds and so on, yes, Russia is preparing for being attacked by NATO. Yes, of course. The rhetoric is not really great. It is like on all the other countries that NATO have screwed up recently. So I think that Russia is the grand prize for NATO actually. Russia is an enormously rich country. It sits on 20% of the world's freshwater supplies and gold, minerals, oil, all sorts of things. In my opinion, Russia is definitely the grand prize for some of the NATO countries, unfortunately.
Okay, so you heard what he had to say about the tensions in relation to NATO and Russia, and he specifically mentioned the US. So I hope you paid attention. I will link to his video. You will see it on the screen. If you want to see any links he has, you can go to his video and go to the informational section below his video, and you can check out any information he has posted there. So do check that out. Now, all of this caused me to start looking into what can I do? Okay, I do stock up and I try to be as prepared as I can. But to be honest, I had not prepared in other ways, as in financially. So I was talking to a good friend of mine who knows a lot about the economy, and they referred me to this website here. And so I was checking it out, and they sell precious metals and things like that. Now, it goes into some detail here on the website. Even the average person can make purchases. You just need to call them and so forth. So I called up The gentleman, he is the CEO, his name is Charles, and we had a discussion, and I wanted to share with you the information that he shared with me because I can't tell you enough, it is very important to be prepared. I know a lot of us like to think of the here and now. We have bills, we're strapped down with bills, and we never seem to have anything left over. Well, there are ways to do this after talking to Charles. And so now I'm going to share with you real quick what Charles had to say. And I want you to pay attention and seriously consider this because so many of us, like I said, are not prepared for so many things that are coming, and not just a crash of the economy, but natural disasters, earthquakes, and so much more. We are in the end times and things are about to happen. So here is my discussion with Charles. Pay attention. Hi, it's Lynn Liaz, and I have a special guest with me tonight, Charles from Noble Gold. And his company has 25 years of experience. And I'm having him on because, well, with all of this talk about a possible economy crash, and in fact, one is expected to happen this year, debt higher than ever, and so much more, it is very important right now to protect ourselves and protect what we do have. And let's face it, if and when the economy does crash, which the chances are high that it is going to here soon, even some of the biggest economy experts are warning about this, we're not going to have any money. So, what will we do when that happens? So, Charles, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. And yourself, Lynn?
I am.
Feeling
Oh, I'm feeling better. Thank you for asking.
good?
I just shared some information with the listeners, and I want to hear what is it that you offer, and how do you feel right now about the situation with a possible crash of the economy, the debt, and so forth, and the situation that would occur if the economy does crash, people won't be able to access their funds or anything.
Great question. And it's very true. I think we look at what's going on now, and we step outside of the realm that we focus on and look from an economy standpoint, from a country standpoint. It makes more sense now than ever to get protection, and that's what precious metals offers. You have a Dow that has never been higher than this, and it's based on numbers that make no sense. We have more debt than we've ever accumulated in the nation of this history of our country here. When you see scenarios like that, it begins to make you wonder. And when I talk to people, everyone says the same thing. They can't put their finger on it, but they feel uneasy about it. They're worried about their investments. They're worried about their life savings. And that's a classic sign that we see. The history of the stock market is ups and downs. That's what it does. Every 8 to 10 years, you see some form of a correction in the market. And 2008 was a very big shock for many people, but it's a good reminder of that cycle that happens. So what we offer is a way for people to say, I've worked hard, I've saved hard, I've done the right things, I've been a good steward with my money. I want to take this next step to offer a protection against a scenario there. And that's just one scenario. So I think when you look at it from just that perspective, without looking at all the other things that are going on in the economy and the world, it makes sense to start to say, I should look into this. Does it make sense for me? Am I protected the way that I should be? And we're seeing a lot of people call us and look at our website based on that alone. So it's an interesting time for that. We did mention the world as well, and those of us who pay attention, and I know that's your audience, and we do see what's going on in the world. We do see the threats that are there for not just spiritual and the things that we believe, but also economic as well. You have an IMF meeting in April, at the end of April, where they begin to decide whether they should revalue what the reserve currency of the world is. It's been dollars. And they're looking at making a change there. That's a big threat. Interest rates getting ready to go up. That's a big threat. The weakness of our dollar in general. It's another big threat. These are all big reasons with the same solution. So it's an interesting time. Having done this for as long as I have, I don't think I've seen a more appropriate time to divest part of your portfolio and get it into metals.
Yes, in fact, I know a lot of people who are investing in precious metals because of that. And, let's face it, prophetic events just keep happening. It seems like daily anymore, to be
every
honest.
day.
Yeah, so people need to protect what they've got. And, if you don't have access to your money, what are you going to do? That's the big
Exactly.
question. So,
It's a big question, and I think when you really look at that too, you know, um, God has given me a lot in my life, not just monetarily, but my health, my family, the blessings that I have. But He also has given me money. He's given me wealth, and we're meant to be stewards of that money because it's ultimately His. We give back to Him what is His. We use what He gives us to glorify God. So part of that stewardship of that money is taking care of it as well. That's part of what we are commanded to do.
that's right. And I want to urge everyone, I didn't give the website out early on. So when I turn this into a video, I will put it on the screen at the beginning. But it is noblegoldinvestments.com. Again, that's Noble, Noble, goldinvestments.com. And now more than ever, like I just said, people really need to be concerned about the economy, about what they've got, and preparing for the things that are coming. Now, I speak to every belief. There's pre-trib believers, there's mid-trib believers, and post-trib believers. It doesn't matter. For you who believe in the pre-trib, things are going to happen prior to a rapture that people are not going to be prepared for. They're not going to be prepared spiritually or physically. And so that's what we're trying to do. So what else, Charles, can you tell me that your company offers people that can really, really help them and make it affordable for them? Because a lot of people are saying, well, I just don't have the money to buy gold and silver. I don't have it. So they just don't even go check it out. What would you say to those kind of people, just your common everyday person?
Great question. And people have more than they realize. One of the things we help people do is we help people turn their retirement accounts, 401ks, savings plans that they've had through their employer. There are ways to convert that into a self-directed IRA and get that backed by precious metals. There's no need for that to stay at risk. Most IRA plans and 401k plans offer very limited choices. You get to choose stock A, stock B, or stock C. By moving it over, you now break out of that pre-established investment field that you have and give yourself some flexibility. You can get some precious metals in there. You don't have to move it all. You can move a part of it, get a percentage protected. But you have an option there. And most people forget that that's there. We have been told to just save, put it away, and when you retire, it'll be there. Well, I'll tell you, after the last downturn in the stock market, I had many clients calling who were so thankful that they had moved part of it into precious metals because it offset the losses they took. And then I had those who called who didn't, and they were talking about getting a second job so they could retire in a couple of years because they had lost so much. So that's one aspect that most people forget about. People think of what they have as to what the dollar in their pocket is. But for many people, there's more. There is that retirement account, and it's just as important to plan for that as well.
That's right. So for those of you listening, go check out noblegoldinvestments.com. And it's never been more of a priority than it is today to protect your assets and to protect your family. I know most of us out there have children or grandchildren, and there's going to come a day, and I'm not kidding, it's going to come, and it's going to come sooner than we think, where all hell literally is going to break loose. And at that time, there's going to be so many of you out there who are just going to be lost and not know what to do. And it's going to be terrible. So I just encourage everyone listening out there to at least check it out and see what you can do to protect yourself and your family. So it's very, very important. And we need to think of those things. A lot of the times we live in the now and we don't think of the future. And then when the future comes, we look back and we're like, oh, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I do that? So this is very important. So, Charles, in our last little bit here, what other points would you want to make to the listeners that are critical as to why they should, invest in precious metals?
One of the really important points is that you're giving yourself protection. Many of us have insurance for this, that, and the other thing. Precious metals act as an investment, as an insurance for your investment portfolio. So that's kind of an important thing there to really think about. But I think really what you want to focus on is saying, I should get some protection. It doesn't have to be a tremendous amount of money if you don't have a tremendous amount of money, but you should have some. And one of the most important things you can do is give us a call. Go online onto our website and request some information. The information's free. The phone call is free. So if you're not sure, call us anyway. Find out. There's nothing wrong with giving us a call. And then you can say, you know what, it is for me or it's not for me. But then you know for a fact. And that's important.
That's right. So again, for those of you listening, it is noblegoldinvestments.com, and that is Noble, Noble. You have nothing to lose. There's no obligation for making a phone call or looking it up. And you have everything to gain because we're reading about it every day in the news. The threat of martial law, the threat of an economic collapse, the threat of a catastrophic earthquake. And folks, these things happen all over the world on a regular basis, natural disasters and so forth. So you just can't afford to put it off any longer. And I just urge you to check them out and give them a call. Do you have any final thoughts, Charles?
My final thought would be, again, make the call, find out, and what you're going to find is we're patient people. We're not pushy people. We're going to give you the information and let you make the decision that's right for you. It's really how we are as a business. That's our personality as a business. Every business has one, and we're here to help. We focus on our clients. You can see that in the reviews on us. When you make that call, you're going to deal with friendly people who are there to help. It's really important that you get treated the way that you deserve to, and that's what we do, and that's why we have those reviews. And you'll see that when you call.
And that's very important because there's so many businesses these days that just are very pushy. They don't let up. They act like car salesmen.
Absolutely.
So that's very important. And that's a extremely good point. And also, I just want to mention to the listeners that you are a Christian and you know about Bible prophecy and what's going on. So that's also very good. What a better company to support than, one that is run by a Christian. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Charles. I really appreciate you coming on with me tonight. I know that you're a busy guy, but thank you so much for sharing your information and your company and your website with my subscribers. I appreciate it.
It was absolutely my pleasure, and I'm never too busy. If you ever need to have a conversation about metals, let me know. I'm more than happy to come back on. I've enjoyed your show.
Well, thank you, and God bless you.
He does, and God bless you as well.